Good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany Gibbs, and today I will be doing an informative speech of how the environment affects our children's behavior more than parenting. I know that sometimes on several occasions that we look at strangers and we look at their children and we're like, what are y'all doing? Why are your kids doing this? Like, can you stop them? Stop. I will say, for instance, one day I was grabbing dinner with some friends, so I was the first person there. So I sat down, and while I was reading over the menu, waiting on my friends to come, I encountered two kids. They were no more or older than the age of 4. Their parents, mom and dad, was there, and the kids were just being irate. They weren't listening. They had temper tantrums, all because they couldn't get their way. So the mom was just sitting there. She was just cool, calm, and collective, minding her business as if the kids were there. So, in other words, she was ignoring her kids. The father, on the other hand, he was very stern. He was making them sit down and he was making them do this, that, and the third, while the kids were definitely kind of, how can I say this, not listening at all. So, as I sat there, I was wondering, I was like, why are your kids acting like this? What's going on? Like, are you doing this for show? Are you doing your parenting for show so you can see that as strangers, show the strangers that you know how to handle your kids when probably at home you're not? So when I sat there and did this, and then when we had this discussion about what we're going to do for our informative speech, I decided to go in more depth of the situation. So as everyone knows that I'm a teacher, but I'm not going to really go into that detail today. The kids parenting does not affect the kids 100%. Environmental factors have 75% to do with that. I will show you what's going on. Now, let's keep in mind that many people believe that parenting has a great effect on their child's behavior, but what they don't consider is the environment that they live in comes out to that behavior. Now, let's start off with children in poverty. In our society today, society wants us to believe that children from poverty are rude, disrespectful. They don't have a lot of sources limited to them. So, of course, our mindset in poverty, they're going to be like, oh, well, they don't have this kind of training. They don't have this proper training. Mom's not here. Dad's not here. We don't know what's going on. But what we fail to realize is that what they live by, like crime rates, society figures, everything plays into part of the child's behavior. Now, Eric Jensen, he came up with this each rule. I will show you guys how the each rule works. With the each rule with Eric Jensen, he came up with the letter E, with social and the emotional and social challenges. Basically saying that kids in poverty are more likely to deal with more social interactions and more social withdrawals than children that could be living in suburban areas. A is acute and chronic stressors, like with parents, money, financial issues. If they see their parents fussing and fighting, they are automatically going to be scared. They won't know what to do. So, of course, that's how the behavior of that environment of seeing what their parents are going through can make them be scared, or they'll be like, oh no, like, what am I to do? So they're going to take it out on other people, being aggressive. C is cognitive lags. Things that how we were portrayed in our childhood, they might not have that now. I mean, even though generations have changed, but they might not have that now. So things that we know now as adults in their age level, they probably won't know it because like I said, go back to the parents. Parents won't know. Parents aren't there. Who's there? They don't know. H is for health and safety issues. Not everybody is fortunate enough to live in a home that is safe, kid safe. No, we will have things that are hanging by wires. Storms come, storms mess up houses and everything. No car, so can't get to a doctor's appointment. So when they're sick, parents have to make do. Unfortunately, that's how society wants to look at it. But we cannot. I'm trying to stress this as much as I can. We cannot blame the parents for the child's failures as in poverty. Now, as we move into the kids that live in suburban areas, I have to show you with one of my visual aids. I will have these two cups right here. This one represents poverty, and this one represents suburban kids. Poverty kids with environmental factors, positive environments like playgrounds, swimming pools, all that good nature, schools. Okay, for schools, let's just say that poverty kids have one school, suburban kids have another school. So, okay, now we have school. Now, when they come home from school, what do they have to play with? I would say that suburban kids will have more to play with than a poverty child. Now, that will play a big factor. Then, thirdly, parenting. Poverty kids, society wants us to believe that there's never two parents at the house, which is not true. There's always two parents, but it's what's outside is feeding into the child's behavior that will show how they act inside. So they will have something to play with at the end of the day. Thirdly, positive influences. Suburban kids will have it. Society wants us to believe suburban kids will have it. Why? Is because suburban kids are more upbeat, happy, go-getting. Poverty kids are more urban. They want us to believe that they're in a city, they don't have a lot of things to do. So, of course, that's hard to go by. Now, as we go into suburban, now the factors of suburban kids are more different than poverty kids. We will look at a kids in a toddler age. We will be like, the kid will be probably at a grocery store, want a candy bar. Mom says no, spoiled dinner. So the kid has a big old temper tantrum all on the floor. Now, when the kid has a temper tantrum, we as strangers, we look at them like, what's going on with your child? Get your child together. Like, hey, get your child, what's going on? But what we fail to realize is the cartoons that the kids will be looking in the suburban areas like Caillou, because Caillou promotes kids to become whiners. That's why a lot of parents are mostly against kids watching Caillou. Yes, they have more privileges, but that more privileges make that environmental factors kind of turn into a negative side too at the same time, which will make a child go off at any given moment and make the child be kind of ungrateful for the things that kids with no poverty will be very grateful to have any other day. The Arthur Dwyer, who published the article in relation of parental inconsistency with the environment that the kids theory, with the theory of the children, he came up with the thing of if a parenting situation is more consistent, a child could be more consistent in behavior. If a parenting is more inconsistent, a child's behavior will not be inconsistent. So that means they could be happy, sad, mad, angry, all in one day, and we won't know how to get on with it. But 2 years prior, he kind of said the inconsistency, but he made it more into of how parenting is causing the environment, which is totally invalid. Environmental factors play a part when parents are not being consistent with parenting. That's when environmental factors come, and this is how poverty and suburban kids, environmental factors become their behavioral problems. In my closing statement, I just want to say that we should not judge parenting skills when a child is out there crying. We don't know the environmental factors. We don't know what's going on at home. So hopefully one day we can all come together and we can all, how can I say this? Try to help out, because it takes a village to raise a child. Thank you for listening.